Welcome, welcome, welcome. All the way from Seattle, Washington, by way of Bentonville, Arkansas, by way of Texas, my good friend and partner in crime, Trevor Knight. How are you doing today, sir?
Mr. Bryce Petty, let's go, baby. I have been traveled around this week, seen a lot of our beautiful country. I was in Seattle, got to see UW up there. You don't like those guys. I'm here in Arkansas. Obviously, our boys down in Austin don't like those guys. But I'll be back in the great state of Texas tomorrow and back in Big 12 country as they have it. But I'm doing good, man. Glad to be back on today. How the heck are you?
Love it, man. I just love the resiliency. For you guys and our listeners that don't know, Trevor's had a hell of a week. I mean, from start to finish, up at 3:15, taking flights, sourcing, having meetings. I'm just excited to be here with you. I didn't know it was going to happen. I honestly thought there was some doubts that this wouldn't happen. So I'm ecstatic that we get to do this.
I have to peel off a part of my schedule to be able to talk to you every week. It's not something that I like to do. I lay in bed at night and just moan and groan to my wife that I have to spend any time with you during the week.
Hey, I believe it. I believe it. Join the club.
And you know, I will say this. I made it sound like I've been working really hard. I'm getting to play golf twice this week. Work golf, as they say, quote.
True. It's way more of your caddy working than you are.
Yeah, exactly. He's
left
trees out there nonetheless.
I love it. Well, hey man, let's dive right into what we got going on in the Big 12, because we had a really interesting week, actually a winning week for the Big 12. They looked pretty dang good. We took care of business. Some teams did, and to be totally honest, man, had a really interesting game there in Morgantown, which we'll dive into. But real quick, because I know it's a later part of the week, Trevor, let's just dive in. What did we learn last week? I'll run through some of this. So we had a Kansas loss to Baylor, which was I tell you what, my Baylor Bears, they're rising up the board for the kid. I didn't know where they would fit kind of in that Big 12. As it would be, from the start of the year to the end of the year. Those guys are climbing. They're looking really good. They've got two backs that I've talked about, and I think the Big 12 and honestly the national scene will know who they are. And Tristan Abram, oh my gosh, that's not good. Abram Smith and Tristan Ebner. So all that being said, I need to know who my guys are. I apologize for that right there. But those two guys you will know by the end of the year. Oklahoma, piss poor again, to be totally honest with you. It was really, really bad. Iowa State, good job. UNLV, you got back on track. Texas win versus Rice, again, good job.
Are they back, Bryce?
You know what? I don't care at this point. And I have so many people going, well, beat Arkansas, but then Arkansas beat, so they're all Southwest Conference champs here. It's unbelievable. K-State win versus Nevada. I tell you what, K-State is climbing. They're actually number 25 this week. Played really, really well. Texas Tech is a team, I think, again, the problem is they get to some slow starts. This is the third week in a row now where they've scored 7 points in the first half. They got to kind of get going there. And then Oklahoma State went up to Boise State and got a win, on the back of Jalen Warren there. And then obviously the West Virginia game, Virginia Tech, that was actually one that I had picked to have the upset. Morgantown's just a tough place to play. So I know we got a brief recap. You go ahead and hit me with some of the things that you saw.
Yeah, well, I've actually got a couple questions for you, Bryce, on a couple of these games, because I think you'll have some really good insight into it. Let's talk real quick. Kansas, Baylor, right? Obviously, it's Kansas, but let's talk Baylor specifically. Yeah. Obviously, since you left, they should have a statue of you there on that campus, right? But yeah, right. But even when you were there, right? You guys were coming into your own. You had to develop culture in the locker room. You've walked on the steps there in Waco and been all over that campus and in those halls. What do you think that they're doing down there from a from a cultural standpoint to get this team ready to go on Saturdays, right? I mean, you got your previous 3-year starter in Charlie Brewer that leaves. There's not a whole lot of hope, right? Give us some thoughts, and I know you weren't with this coaching staff, obviously, but give us some general thoughts on what might be going on down there in Waco to get these guys ready to play. What are some of those cultural things that you think, get a group of guys to rally around each other to produce decent football on Saturdays?
Yeah, man, I think it's a great question. It's one that I love to see because I'm such a process guy. The first thing that kind of pops in my head is just guys buying in. You can tell when guys have bought in. And what I mean by that is you have a new coaching staff, another one, right? DJ Khaled, another one. You have another coaching staff to come into Waco. We obviously got hit with the penalty that kind of rocked the recruiting world a little bit. And so look, you kind of have your back against the wall to where at some point you have to understand it's those 115, 120 guys that are in that locker room are the only people that, one, care about you, and two, believe in you. And so what I mean by buying in is that when you buy into that, when you buy into that, I'm doing it for the guy on the right and I'm doing it for the guy on the left, the blood, the sweat, the tears, when everybody's out, at summer camp, whatever people do during summer, you're in class and then you're going to workouts at 5 a.m. When everybody goes to Christmas break, and before we turn around to January, you're in there, you're grinding. Those type of things, you only do that if you're bought in. If you don't care, then you're not there. And I think that those guys have had, kind of a full year to buy into Dave Aranda's system. And I think that those guys are really starting to trust each other. They're starting to trust that these, the coaching staff, the scheme, the system, and what they're doing. And then it's built off the back of the leadership. I think those guys that are in that locker room, that have been there before, it's kind of a veteran locker room. I feel like now it's a definitely an interesting culture for the young guys to come into and understand, man, we've been through it. We've seen this before. And now it's you get to play ball, and then, with the COVID crap too. So, all that stuff that happened last year just made things, tougher. So I think that guys are really starting to see kind of the fruits of, the hard work put in and just buying into one another.
Yeah, no, that's great insight right there, Bryce. And that's true. I think, even us as former players, I sit here and I buy into the media, right? I buy into what you and I talk about. I buy into what we read on the internet of all the bad things that have happened there that have caused them to get in this predicament, so on and so forth. And then I take myself back to my playing days. And you're right. When you're in that locker room, it doesn't matter what even happened yesterday, right? It's guy on my right, guy on my left. If that's what I'm hearing from the top down from Coach Aranda and his staff, right? That's what I buy into. This is my time at this university. It's not Bryce Petty's time. It's not RG3's time. It's not Sean Oakman's time. Yeah. It is my time at this university. Am I going to leave the jersey better than I found it? I think that's really, really great insight. So yeah, a lot of good games. We had that one game there that was a Big 12 showdown, and now we get into the heart of the Big 12 schedule, and we'll get to that in a minute. But to recap, just a real quick, from this past week, Bryce, let's get your goods and bads from this past week. What do you got?
Yeah, so I think that if it's not on everybody's good, I mean, DJ Graham might possibly have the play of the decade. DB for OU with a unbelievable one-handed catch. And to date, the only highlight that I think that OU has on the 2021 calendar year.
Well, there's an asterisk.
Unbelievable.
There's an asterisk. It was 4th down. It
doesn't matter.
Down, and he catches the ball in the 4. They could have had it way out at like the 28 or whatever the yard line was.
That's tough. That's tough.
Like coaching 101, teach your guy to bat that down on 4th down. But you're right, unbelievable play, right?
Yeah, honestly, it might have been, what he was trying to do, and just sticky fingers. So honestly, they probably need to test his gloves. The other interesting thing, actually staying in Norman, Bob Stoops, college football Hall of Fame. I just thought that was really cool. I love watching the guys and the way that he interacts with them. You can always tell somebody's respected by watching other people around and how they act. And you can just tell that he had a lot of love for his guys and a lot of, love returned. So,
He does.
loving it.
Getting to play for Bob for 4 years, and now for him being in the Hall of Fame, that's going to get cooler with time, in my opinion, right? I'm going to get to tell my kids that I played for the great Bob Stoops, and he is just that, when you're around him day to day, he's just coach, right? You look back and you realize how special he was, how intentional he was in his teaching and in his methodologies and his culture building. And there's absolutely no mistake that he gets to where he's at right there with the Hall of Fame.
I love it, man. That's good insight too, and it's cool. I think for the fans to understand too, that perspective of all we get to see is what he's like on camera. So hold up. So before I go, you got to give me, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of springing this on you. You got to give me one Bob Stoops story. Like there has to be probably several. And I to be totally honest, I hate when people do this to me when they just spring someone because I'm like, I don't know which one. So we can just pass it by if we need to, but I think it'd be cool to have a story if you got one.
Yeah. So you want kind of like a funny story, a good story,
just like something that kind of embodies a Bob Stoops story.
Okay. All right. Well, he's a funny guy, right? I mean, he really is a funny guy. He's relatively stoic, but he also has kind of a funny side. But he also, I mean, there are some coaches that they're unbelievable with names. Right. I mean, they know your mom's name, your grandma's name, recruiting. They know every recruit, so on and so forth down the line. I think Bob's really good at that.
Okay.
Except for when it comes to his own team sometimes. And so it was kind of a running joke. He uses the term bub a lot. Okay. Like calling you a bub. And so if he doesn't know your name, he'll be like, hey, bub. Yeah. Hey, bub. How you doing? So there was two buddies of mine that, we were younger, so they weren't playing yet. They ended up going on and serving a nice role on our team, but they just weren't contributors yet, right? And so it would be the whole like, hey, tap you on the elbow, be like, hey, watch this. I'm going to say hi to Coach Stoops, and he's for sure going to call me Bub. And sure enough, you'd be walking down the hallway. Hey, Coach Stoops, how's it going? Hey, Bub, how you doing? So he's a big Bub guy. And so
was he able to do it pretty nonchalant though, or would he look the guy up and down like, no, I don't remember his name. Hey, Bub.
He would make that Bub feel like he was the most important Bub on the face of this planet, right? And then when you got to know your name, that's when you know you made it. And
dude, I love it. I love it.
I have on Coach Stoops. He's just the Bub factor. He's a Bub guy, right?
Dude, I love it. I'm a huge Boss guy.
Yeah,
hey, Boss.
He's one of the best to ever do it. Yeah. Oh, Boss. Boss is a little disrespectful. Bob is endearing, right?
Boss. Oh, I love it. Trevor, give me your week one goods, buddy.
Yeah, I've got to do this because I've kind of ragged on him the past couple of weeks. We'll see. He's kind of on the, skating on thin ice here, but Brock Purdy, shout out to you, man. 3 TDs, no interceptions to combat your no TDs, 3 interceptions in the first couple of weeks. I hope for that program and everything that we've talked about that this is kind of a turning point. Hey, we realize that our limbs work again, right? We can actually play this game at a level that we're capable of. Is it a staple game over UNLV? No, but a confidence booster, absolutely, right? And but Brock Purdy, I know that he set some records this past week. Probably not on the best terms that he would have liked. He probably would have liked to have been playing well up until this point, but hats off to him. 3 touchdown passes. I hope to see him play well here in the coming weeks.
Love it. Give me your week one bad. What's something that you just I'm
gonna come back to our week one show where we really had to decide if Kansas storming the field in an FCS opponent win was worth it or not, right? It's a tale of 2 days. Again, congrats to Kansas on getting a win, but you open up Big 12 play against potentially a decent Baylor team, but this isn't a Bryce Petty-led Baylor team, right? Like, you're not coming off a Big 12 title. It's not high hopes. You know, some people had you in well into the back half of the rankings in kind of the preseason rankings, and you get smothered at home 45-7. Again, maybe Baylor, you know, maybe this is their year where they're coming out and they're playing good football, but man, what is it that's going to allow Kansas to at least just be competitive, right? I mean, it's been a carousel of coaches. I understand the recruiting is incredibly difficult when you got Kansas State down the road that turns a bunch of walk-ons into All-Americans. You've got Oklahoma right down the road. You've got Iowa State right above you. You've got, I mean, it is a gauntlet in the recruiting realms, but you got to find a way to be competitive, right? Getting absolutely blown out in your first Big 12 game, got to be my bad from this week.
Yeah, agreed. And it just seems to kind of be that way every time outside of, man, who is the cat with, you know, Charlie Weiss? Is it Reesing?
Todd Reesing won the Orange Bowl with Aqib Talib and all these.
Say they had him. They had the dudes, and then Briscoe, I think.
To your first comment, who's going to be the guy that says, you know what, I was overlooked in recruiting. I ended up at Kansas, but I'm going to step up like a Todd Reesing, like an Aqib Talib, right? And I'm going to change the culture of this locker room to where at least we're competitive. You don't have to go win the Orange Bowl like that. I mean, those guys went way above.
Yeah.
But hey, guys, we're going to come out here. We're going to at least be competitive. We're not going to get blown out 45-7 on a weekend.
I agree.
Right.
I'm going to give the peeps and Lawrence some advice. Take it or leave it. I'm going to Bob's Ford dealership and I'm saying, hey, dude, I need a truck and a wad of cash. And I'm going to go get us some recruits. Be that guy. Go be that guy. Go give a guy that's never played a down in college football $1.5 million like Oklahoma State did. Or I'm sorry, Ohio State did. Go be that guy. Go be that guy, and then go see if you can't pluck and pull some of these guys from his transfer portal, some of these guys from, it doesn't have to be in state. You know, go, you know, a few miles northeast, man, and go pull some dudes from Ohio, you know, go do it. Go do it. So anyways, I love it. Look, it's tough not to stay away from Norman on this, but look, just week one bad. I mean, this is just another game. This should not have been close. This Nebraska team is kind of on the heels of needing to be pushed over in just another rebuilding year. And I actually read that they almost try to pull this game from happening so that it could be deemed another rebuilding year for them. You know, but this is on the heels of a 50-year anniversary of, you know, one of the greatest college games ever, 35-31, Nebraska actually winning the title there. But it's just tough, man. I don't know where they're at in Norman. I don't know where this offense is. That, you know, they came off of, you know, I guess a decent win against Western Carolina with 7,900 points. But still, I mean, you can't play to that caliber in the Big 12. I just don't think so. What's really interesting, kind of leading to this next segment for us, but you know, this is okay. We just had the first Big 12 game, you know, with Baylor, Kansas, that we just talked about. From the first week, it's just show 5 now. From our first show, kind of the preseason accolades, preseason team, who's going to win the Big 12, whatever. Trevor, give us some of what's your biggest surprise to date? I might have the same, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll start at the top, right? I won't make my way through the entire Big 12, but we'll start at the top. Oklahoma always said preseason, Spencer Rattler, Oklahoma, this is their year. They've obviously not come out and played to the level that we thought they would, right? I mean, I've got Ole Miss buddies coming and telling me, wait, you guys at Oklahoma couldn't get past Tulane? We just blew them off the field this past week, right? Mm-hmm. Then to watch them against a very, very pedestrian Nebraska team do what they did last week. We're just not seeing the production, like you just mentioned, that we thought out of Oklahoma. So that surprises me. Biggest surprise, Iowa State at number 2. That was pretty much consensus across the board when we had Greg McElroy on. You and I both said that for sure, that this was number 1 versus number 2. Could this be the year that Iowa State, leaves this conference with a ring? And man, we know what's happened there. Could it turn around? Is it still early? 100% it is. But those are obviously the top 2 surprises. The last one that I am surprised about is they've been kind of quiet doing it is Texas Tech, right?
Yeah.
Tyler Show, get it done down there. Another 3-0 team, and we'll get to this in a minute, kind of the unbeatens and where we see them going. But Texas Tech, who knows? Could this be one of those years where they kind of shake it up a little bit? They get some big wins on the road, big wins at home there at the Jones in Lubbock. We'll see what happens. Bryce, any other additional surprises from you?
Yeah, no, I was definitely going to follow you with OU. I thought that they not only breeze through their non-conference, but I thought that they'd actually, have some statement wins, some, 65 nothings. Alex Grinch and that defense was going to show out, and they've done okay. It's just that they're so slow on offense right now. I don't think they have an identity yet. And look, they're 3-0. So, we can sit here on Monday morning couch quarterback and be like, they should have beat them, however much. Look, at the end of the day, Saturday football is Saturday football, and it's hard to get a win. Again, we've talked about it before, Trevor. Everybody has OU scheduled, and that's a tough place to be. But at the same time, too, that's a standard that OU, knows coming in as well. What's very interesting too, I think, in terms of your sleepers, and teams to watch, maybe Baylor and Kansas State are kind of interesting. Because they're sneaking away a little bit with their the way that they're playing. They're playing great defense. Kansas State's kind of known for that, but Will Howard, their tried and true leader for the last 15 years between him and Brock Purdy. I don't know who's been there longer, and Skylar Thompson, but my man goes out again, just devastated for him because he's such a good player and he's done a lot for that college, or for that university rather. But same thing. And it's very interesting correlation of words there. But at the same time, what Skylar's done for that team, and then for Will Howard to kind of step up, and I think he passed for 125 yards and a touchdown, but then he also had 3 touchdowns rushing. So it's next man up in Manhattan, which is it's kind of the secret sauce out there. So Baylor and Kansas State are interestingly enough, my biggest surprise, as well as what could be the best chance to give this OU Iowa State 1-2 punch, kind of a run for their money, with actually Iowa State coming into Waco this weekend. What do you think about just that game in particular? And then we'll kind of get to your best chance around the table here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I am still going to ride the Iowa State train as much as I've bashed them into the ground. I know that they can play. We've all watched it. I want to see them come out and play with the confidence that we saw from them all last year and into this offseason, right? I think they've gotten hit in the mouth enough at this point to realize, hey, screw all that hoopla. The preseason accolades don't mean anything. I mean, these are things that guys at Oklahoma and things like that, they understand, right? Don't think about that. Go produce it on the field. I think Iowa State's got beat around enough these first couple of weeks that they're going to come out and they're going to play really good football.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be going to Waco, though. I tell you that. So go ahead, Trevor.
Let's dive into this week, especially with some of kind of these bets like we normally do. But before we do, let me tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at BetRivers Sportsbook. They've been an incredible partner for us. You guys need to sign up. And if you haven't yet, now is the time. They're still offering the $250 match bonus for your first deposit. The good thing about BetRivers is, and what sets them apart, is they require just one play to turn your money into cash. They have Rush Pay, which is instant approval. So withdrawing your winnings is safer, more secure, more reliable, and very easy. We are in the heart of football season. So get on to betrivers.com today by downloading the BetRivers iOS app. You must be 21 years or older. Again, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. BetRivers, they've been awesome. Man, this gambling stuff, Bryce, I know that you're pretty into it. I am as well. It is really, really fun. It's also really, really dangerous. So with that being said, let's go down some of the lines, some of the over-unders this week and get your thoughts. Texas Tech traveling on the road to Austin. Texas, with Casey Thompson at the helm, played pretty good against Rice, is a 9-point favorite. Texas -9. Bryce, are you taking that bet?
Yeah, you know what? Interestingly enough, I am. I think Texas Tech, you know, and we just talked about, I think Tyler Show is a great quarterback. I think he's got them rolling, but interestingly enough, it's only in the second half. And I think you can't start any Big 12 game that slow. Texas has had its struggles. I think it's more struggles on the ground game. In terms of their defense goes. On the flip side of that, their ground game with Bijan Robinson, mixture of other different guys. Casey Thompson puts them in a great chance to be successful, doesn't turn the ball over. Crazy enough, trainer that I train with out here in South Lake mentioned, dude is a stat guru. I love it. I actually kind of want him on this show. Told me the other day that Casey Thompson has had dating back to the Alamo Bowl last year, 18 out of 20 drives has ended in a touchdown for him.
Wow.
I haven't fact checked that, but just if he threw it out there so convincingly that I was like, you know what, it's right. I'm putting on the show. So shout out to Jarrett on that. So I'm actually picking Texas at -9. The over under, I don't think is getting to 61.5.
61.5 is a lot of points, man. I mean, that's a lot of points. But you kind of look at you know, if you just look at last week, and I get that it's a little bit different in terms of head-to-head battle, first Big 12 game, those types of things. But if it's two teams that are going to put up a bunch of points, it might be these two teams, right?
It could be.
I'm going to go with the under there. If I'm a betting man and I'm putting my hard-earned, cold, hard cash on this one, I'm going the under there. What do we got next, Bryce? What's the next game?
Yeah, this is actually interestingly enough, man. This is kind of one of my upsets of the week. SMU goes to Amon Carter Stadium there in Fort Worth to play the TCU Horned Froggies. The line is TCU -9. I'm not buying that at all. SMU, your boy Mordecai from OU is playing his butt off. Coach Kaz, my strength coach at Baylor, is now their strength coach, has those guys playing some ball there in Dallas. I'm going SMU to cover for sure.
Yep, I'm gonna join you there. Not only do they think they cover, I think they win the football game.
Yeah, I'm with you, buddy.
This has been a podcast that has continuously come back to this culture idea. I think that SMU's got the culture going right now. They got the moxie. Of course, we're early on, so you don't want them to peak yet, right? You want to keep building on that. 1% better every day, 10% better every week, and get better and better. You get to travel on the road and play a Big 12 opponent right down the street from you. You're gonna be up for that one. And Tanner Mordecai and those guys, I think they're gonna give them a run for their money. I am not only having them cover, but I'm having them win the football game. I'm taking the under there, 64.5. Again, way too many points. I'm gonna go put 50 cents on that one and earn a couple bucks. But yeah,
I'm taking the over. I'm taking SMU in the over. Love it. Love it. Iowa State at Baylor. I think you've already mentioned on this podcast what you think might happen, but Iowa State is favored at 7.5. What you got?
Yeah, I'm taking that. I think Iowa State's going to come out and win by 3 touchdowns. Convincing win, 21-point win. They're at Baylor. It's going to stun your Bears. I hate to say it, but Brock Purdy throws for 4 touchdown passes. Breece Hall does his thing on the ground. It's going to be a come-out show for the 2021 Cyclones.
Not so fast. Not so fast is what I have to say to you.
What a homer. This is getting ridiculous.
Not so fast. Trevor Knight. Had to go find a freaking highlighter for that. Coach Corso, thank you so much for that line. Shout out to you. And cheers if you watch our After Dark show. We love to toast the coach. I actually think that Baylor is going to win this game today, not just because I'm an alum. I still think that we learned nothing about Iowa State other than the fact that they can beat a piss poor UNLV team. If you watch that game at all, that was routes on air for Brock Purdy. There was no contested throws outside of a pick that he had. And to be totally honest with you, Breece Hall still, they are not running it through Breece Hall. It's not the Iowa State of old where those guys are packing a punch every week. I think that they got a little bit too excited about who they are in the preseason magazines. They like their face on the cover. Matt Campbell is still a guy that I'd love to have a beer with. But I don't think that they're going to travel down to Waco the way that the boys are in Waco are playing ball right now. The last 3 games are all over 300 yards rushing. The guys are crushing it. And then, my guy GB and the quarterback position is playing really well. Bohannon is stepping up and he's getting better every week. Gary Bohannon is a shout out to you for getting better every week. That's what you're asked to do for your team. So I am taking Baylor. Covering that.
Let me ask you this, head to head, me and you. I'll take Iowa State -7.5. Loser, because you're taking
because we've already had a shotgun beer that got lost in the shuffle here. So I'm going to write this down. That way our viewers don't think that we're phonies.
Loser shotguns a beer on next week's show. If it's under 5, I don't even remember what a good time would be. If it's under 5 seconds, you don't have to buy the other one dinner. If it's over 5 seconds, you have to buy the other one dinner.
So not only is it shotgun, there's a time stamp to it as well.
Of course.
Okay. So under over beer time, 5 seconds.
Yes.
Equals dinner. Okay.
Dinner.
And are we just taking the line here, or are we just going straight up?
No, taking the line.
Okay.
Which I'm going to give you that.
Okay.
I'm taking Iowa State -7.5. So you're Baylor +7.5.
Come on, boys. You heard it. I hate shotgunning beer, so please help me out. All right, perfect. On to the next. Hopefully you're in town for this and we can just watch this game together. Okay, K-State at Oklahoma State. What do we got there? 9.
We got the Pokes -6.5. I'm taking K-State to cover that one.
Yes.
So
me too.
Yes. I think it's going to be a very close game. I think K-State covers. I think Oklahoma State wins by a field goal there at Boone Pickens Stadium. But it's going to be that is one of my kind of favorite games of the weekend coming up. I'm going to sit down and watch that one. It's not a big matchup. They're not ranked, but I think that's going to be a fantastic football game.
Yeah, I love that one. I'm actually going with you, brother. That was my second upset of the week outside of the, really, now that I say it, it's actually the third that I have. But so I'm taking K-State as well. I think they're just playing hot right now. They're riding the momentum. Again, Will Howard stepping up. Oklahoma State's just kind of gotten by. It's a 3-0 on the card, but they've just gotten by. I think K-State comes in rolling, and they've got a hell of a running game. So excited to watch that one. Last game of the week here. Apologies, second to last game. We got Kansas at Duke. Don't have a line for that one. I think Duke's going to win that one. Sorry to all our Kansas fans out there if you are a Jayhawk football fan. So this one, though, West Virginia at Oklahoma in Norman. OU is favored 16 perks with over and under 56.5. What do you say to that, sir?
This is tough, right? Oklahoma, the number 4 team in the country, they're still Oklahoma, but you got West Virginia coming off a massive program win over number 15 Virginia Tech, right? They've obviously got some confidence now. Can they build on that and go on the road and disrupt the Sooners there in Norman, which historically, it's a handful of games that Oklahoma's lost at home in the last couple of decades, right? It's a tough place to go and do that. And yes, I know, Bryce, as you lift your
It is
eyebrows,
tough for some people, I
you love
guess.
hearing that you were one of those guys to go in there and beat up on the Sooners.
Oh,
Oh,
Corey Coleman should have a bar named after him over there in Norman. Sorry, go ahead. Continue.
that is very true. But I think Oklahoma wins the football game. It's not going to be by 16 points. I hope it is from a fanship standpoint. But man, Jarrett Doege, I like him. I've been talking about him from the very beginning, right? I mean, he knows how to play the game. He's not putting up ridiculous numbers right now. He's certainly not in the Heisman talk, but I think he's done a good job with that team up there in West Virginia and Morgantown. I'm taking OU minus 16, but it's going to be a good football game.
Wow, interesting. I don't know if my colleague understands how this betting system works. There's no way that OU wins by 16 points. This is interesting though, because to your point, West Virginia undoubtedly coming off of a stamp in their program history in terms of playing at home. Virginia Tech come in, number 15, and they kicked the crap out of them. They really did. And this is, I watched this game. They converted Trevor. They converted a 3rd and 17 and a 3rd and 24. This game was a lot further than actually, what the final goal line stand needed to be. There's no reason for them to do that. And the 3rd and 24 was a QB run. Granted, Birchmeister, whatever. That dude runs like a 4.1. Like he looks like an ant when he runs around. It's incredible how fast that kid is. But still, 3rd and 24 on a QB run around, scramble. There's no way that should convert. So if you take those away, I think it's a much bigger win for them in terms of points wise as well. But so Letty Brown runs that offense. I think that guy's a stud. He is my guy to watch in this game. He is my guy to watch this week. If they get him going, because OU's defense in terms of run defense isn't that bad. I mean, I think they're averaging 85 yards a game. But at the same time, they haven't seen this kid. So I think that Letty Brown has a big game. I'm actually taking West Virginia to cover. I don't think they're going to beat them by 16. I think OU wins, but they're not going to beat them by 16. And then I'm going to take the 56.5. I'm going to take the over on that one. Okay. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. This is why I hate this, because historically West Virginia does not travel. They're a totally different home team than they are in away in terms of points. So true. My Doege guys got to come through. Letty Brown, I'm going to tweet at you. For what it's worth, you're probably not going to see it because you're way cooler than I am. But I really want him to have a hell of a game.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I like it. I mean, a lot of these still at this point, which I think is good. It's especially good from a fanship standpoint. There's a lot of toss-ups, right? I don't think there's any sure things, which as a fan you gotta hope for at this point. We get to sit on the couch all day long and watch good football, watch close games. If it's your team, you get really upset. If it's not your team, you get to hope and scream and watch it till the end. You can get, hey honey, it's a 3-point game. I gotta watch this. You used to do that. Okay, so let me give you my player to watch this week. We've touched on him quite a bit already on this show, but Will Howard's my player to watch. Kansas State stepping in for Skylar Howard. Like you said, he didn't throw for too many yards. He threw for 1 touchdown, but he got it done on the ground with 2 tutties. He reminds me a lot of Colin Klein. He's Colin Klein-esque, right? I mean, very different, but also with a stat line like that, he reminds me a lot of
same but different.
Yeah, exactly. And Colin Klein's a guy that, obviously wasn't your prototypical NFL arm or anything like that, but got it done for the Wildcats and, rose them up to, I think, number 2 in the country while he was there. So it can be done.
Until they came to Waco. They were actually number 1. They were number 1 in the country.
They were number 1.
They were number 1. It was a hell of a game for us. 2012 was pretty fun. This is interesting, though, because this is also my team to watch. Going back to our picks, Oklahoma State's kind of skated by. What's really interesting to me is that K-State cracks the top 25. They can go to Stillwater and get a win. They got your boys coming into Manhattan the week after. that's where I think things could get really interesting, right? West Virginia coming to Norman this week. We'll find out what happens. Next week is going to be really interesting if these guys, lay it on Oklahoma State and have and host your boys, because you know how much fun Manhattan is to play. It's a great environment. It's awesome.
Great student section. My goodness.
Awesome.
Apple, baby. I loved playing at Kansas State. Always did.
Yeah.
My team to watch this week, West Virginia. It's a vulnerable OU team. We just hit on it a ton. Can they come in, disrupt the Sooners at home, and really shake up the Big 12? You don't think it's going to happen, Bryce? I certainly don't think it's going to happen, but there is vulnerability there. I'm going to be glued to the couch watching that one. I will probably have a couple beers on Saturday responsibly while I watch that football game.
Speaking of beers, I'm so glad, and this is why we're best friends. We are now going to my favorite part of the show. This is our special segment. This is the pick one, play one, watch one.
Yep.
I don't think you have a beer.
I don't have a beer, but I can make a heck of a beer opening sound with my mouth. So 2 cues and a beer and.
Okay, nice, not bad. And unfortunately, I have a ranch water here, so I don't even know. I can't even grab a beer. I'm all out of beer. I have to restock.
That are supposed to have beers, one of which has a drinking problem and is drinking tequila on a Wednesday night, and one of which doesn't have access. All right, moving on.
And real quick, because this is brought to you by our very own James Williams, who is actually recording this for us. Thank you, James. You can find him at Tank Will. I believe he still has an AOL /AIM username at Mr. Steal Yo Girl, GURL is what he told us. So pretty excited about this. Thank you, James. So pick one. You have to pick one beer pong partner. Who the heck's it going to be?
Oh, this is so easy for me. Think about.
Can I take a guess?
I'm going to see if you can guess it. Who is the greatest big man to perfect the fadeaway turnaround jumper?
I would love to say that it's not Dirk Nowitzki and it's your college teammate Blake Griffin, but it's probably going to be Dirk Nowitzki.
It sure is. See, that was a pretty good.
It sure is.
Think about that. No elbows. You gotta stay behind, right? And who gets good, arc on their shot, can even do the old, hey, I go to parties, fade away. It's Dirk. I'm picking Dirk as my beer pong partner, not because I'd love to have a conversation with Dirk. I'd love to hang out at a party with Dirk, but more so because I'm an ultra competitive guy and I want to stay on the table all night. I think Dirk is going to give me the best shot to win.
I love it. This one's actually kind of interesting to me. I also went big man, but in a different way. I don't know why. This is probably because I'd like to sit down and have a beer with either of these guys. And I have had a beer with one of them. I just feel like George Kittle is probably better at beer pong than Travis Kelce. But I do, and Travis, he's an avid fan of our show. Very high on me for being a Cincinnati fan this year, but I think I'm going to have to go just because of the WWE, most likely the NASCAR. There's a little shave with the man bun. I just feel like that screams I play a lot of beer pong. So I think that George Kittle would be my beer pong partner. I'm pretty excited about it.
I like it. I think that would be an absolute blast. George Kittle, his dad, Bruce, was the tight ends coach at Oklahoma when I got there back in 2012. And George was running around, and I don't think he had hit puberty yet, right? And he was all right. He's big, kind of. He was tall, he's lanky, and now he's an absolute monster, right?
Dude, he is a monster.
Absolutely,
it is a monster. Shout out to San Fran. All right, play one. We have again brought to you by James Williams, Mr. Steal Your Girl. Play one game of horse. We can take this in a couple different directions, either how bad I beat you in horse, just letters wise, or if you want to play with somebody in horse, who would you play?
Okay, I gotta pick somebody because I want everybody to dig deep into your imagination here with me. I want to just because I think he's a fascinating human, right? I don't really know all that much about him, but he invented the biggest company in our country in Amazon. But I would imagine that Jeff Bezos would be fun to talk to. Just ask him some questions. But more so than that, how atrocious his basketball shot would be, right? I mean, I envision Jeff Bezos with this, little face doing the total granny double-handed like jump, throw your back leg up, fairy shot to play horse. Bryce,
He probably would.
your face says it all right now. You're like, dude, your mind goes to a crazy.
Yeah, no doubt. The thing is, though, like as he's sitting there counting his stack of millions, I don't think he's gonna care.
Yeah,
He's gonna granny shot it and not care.
yeah, but it's a confidence builder for me because I get some cool wisdom, right? It's fun story, what have you. But I also get to just absolutely destroy a billionaire in the game of horse. So it's a win-win for me.
Love it, love it.
Who you got?
So I'm actually gonna go the other route. I'm gonna say that I won't go the other route. I'll stay with you. To play a game of horse, I think that ever since I saw Longest Yard, and really every movie that he's in, he's playing some kind of basketball show, or basketball game rather. But Adam Sandler, I think, would be very interesting to play a game of horse with. Maybe our guys at Field of 68 can, or Field of 12, sorry, can give us an opportunity to play with Adam Sandler. I know he's a Jets fan. I was there for a short stint. And so I do fly the colors, per se. It was rather quick. But hey, teach his own. So we also have, James needs to explain this one. I guess it was while he was talking on AIM here, but watch one, he has softball game. So if you could choose a softball game to watch, where would it be and why, I guess?
I think Mr. Studio Girl is talking to some softball girl. So I don't even know what this means.
Well, it might be. I don't know.
Do I have to watch a softball game? All right, I'll say this.
It's 2021. Stay woke, bro. You definitely need to watch a softball game.
Easy, man. I got to watch some great softball in college. The Oklahoma Sooner softball team won the Natty while I was there. So I want to go watch Lauren Chamberlain. Shout out, Lauren. Love and miss you. I want to go watch her hit some bombs. The all-time home runs leader in college softball history. That would be the game I would watch.
Love it.
Are you watching a softball game?
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm in the stands. There's a teenage heartthrob in Jenny Finch. I think everybody probably wanted to go watch her softball game at some point. That's who I'm going with. I couldn't even tell you. I think did she go to Arizona State or Arizona? I think it's Arizona.
Arizona.
Yeah. Either way, it doesn't matter. I would sit there with some nachos. Probably not a pickle, as you alluded to last week. Yeah. My Twitter got a little flooded with the Trevor likes pickles hashtag, but that's okay. But I would watch Jenny Finch for sure. Brother, man, that's the show. That's a show. That's a hell of a show. I am as always very excited to be able to do this with you. So thank you, Phil, to 12. Thank you to our fans, and please continue to tweet and show your QB couchness, not savviness, but couchness, if you will, much like we do. And we'll be back next week. Trevor, any closing remarks for us?
Yeah, follow us, tweet us. Please tweet us. We want to ramp this thing up. Fan interaction. Bryce and I want to get you on the phone. We want to tweet you, DM you, all that kind of stuff, so that we can really answer some of your questions and have some fun. Ask us some personal questions, right? I mean, hey, what was it like when you were in the locker room? Blah, 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 right? I mean, those are all great questions to ask. We want the fan interaction. Go subscribe. That's a big deal. So you can listen to us each and every week. We're excited to do this, covering the Big 12. Bryce, my absolute man, that is another week. Let's go watch some football this Saturday.
Love you, brother. And thank you, Trevor, for your dedication to be around the globe and still do this. So thank you guys. And we will see you next week.
Oh.